biggest headache for me, even during my preparation.
When you
Hmm.
started the mocks, what
Hmm.
was your score in maths usually?
It is possible in 2 or 3 months, but
What advice would you have given to your younger self?
so at least for logical reasoning, I would say, so by far that would be the biggest benefit ClatQuest would have had to my preparation. Hello everyone. I'm Shourya. I'm currently a first year at the National Academy of Legal Studies and Research, which is better known as NALSAR University of Law, Hyderabad. And I scored an AIR of 48 in Clat 25, and I'm very excited to be here.
Sure, do you remember your marks of the CLAT, this CLAT, right? The last one. What were your
Mm.
marks out of 120?
After the revision, my marks were 98.5 out of 120.
But considering the 7 question removal, it was actually out of 113, right? So roughly 100 out of
Actually,
113.
out of
That is a
113.
pretty good score.
Mm.
Now coming upon my very first
Thank you.
question, how was the journey? Would you say it was enjoyable, or would you, if you can be honest with this one, right?
Mm. How was it? Overall, I would say a bit of both. Sometimes it was very, very challenging. Sometimes felt too easy as well. Like I was worried, ki, why am I not worried? Sometimes. But then the other times, the stress of it all also did sometimes feel like, ki, okay, maybe I should have started studying a little bit earlier. Maybe I should have not procrastinated. Then maybe I would not be struggling so much at that specific moment. But no, overall, I think it is very balanced. Um, there are easy aspects to it as well. There are tough aspects to it as well. My biggest issue by far in my preparation was mathematics because I am terrible at mathematics. Even in the actual exam as well, I spent the most time out of any section on maths, even though it's the shortest section. So that was the biggest sardardi in a way for me, the biggest headache for me, even during my preparation. I spent a lot of time on mathematics, and even then, even towards the end of my preparation, it felt like I was not fully prepared. But in the end, it all worked out very, very well. The rest of the subjects also were very easy. There were definitely ups and downs. The biggest, I would say, after maths was current affairs because just sheer volume of what you have to consume in current affairs is very, very tedious. But I wouldn't say it's hard. It's lengthy, it's tedious. I wouldn't really say it's hard. And the other sections are just what I say, different flavors of reasoning, different flavors of logic. So you just have to know the concepts, and it doesn't take a lot of time to understand these concepts. The rest of the preparation is just practice. So it wasn't really all that difficult, except a few, of course, exceptions here and there.
So what was your final score in maths itself, right? Leave the paper aside, in maths itself. And when you
Hmm.
started the mocks, what
Hmm.
was your score in maths usually?
Oh, in the start, it was awful. Um, During the preparation, my biggest issue with maths was not that I could not attempt the questions. My problem was I didn't even bother attempting them in the first place because I would be so immediately scared when I saw the question, I saw the numbers. I was just not bothered at attempting it at all. So in the first few mock tests, I think I scored 1 or 2 marks in the section. But then naturally, over time, I got out of that fear. Um, Even then my marks were very bad. I think 4 or 5. But as I practiced more and more in the actual exam itself, I don't remember after the revision, but before the revision, I had only skipped one question in the entire paper. That was a maths question, and that is the only question I didn't get marks in maths. I scored 11 out of 12 in the entire section before the revision. I'm not sure what it is after the revision though.
So what would you say was the biggest thing which helped you improve in maths, right? Was it practice? Was it any one shot or something?
No, it was definitely just practice. Maths, you can't really get better at mathematics by just revising concepts again and again and again because at some point you have to apply those concepts in the question as well. So I just practiced tons and tons and tons and tons and tons, and more importantly, I think there is a tendency or a desire in the beginning of the preparation to use a calculator. I vehemently stopped myself from using a calculator because I knew if I relied on that right now, I would just be procrastinating in a way. I would just be pushing off that responsibility for a future shorter. Because my biggest issue was with maths was silly mistakes, calculation errors. So if I relied on a calculator, that would naturally not help my situation at all. So I just practiced as much as I could. And more, I think the important part here is that at the start, I did very terribly. But even though I was scoring very, very poorly in the math section, I still kept going because I knew at least at some point with enough practice, enough repetition, I will eventually have a better result. And I did. So yeah, I don't think there's any one shot or anything like that. It's just pure hard practice. You just have to do it again and again and again and again until it works out. At least that's how it did for me.
No, I think so. In maths, right, practice is the only thing which could save you, because
Mm, mm,
even if you understand the concept and stuff, you will not be able to solve 12
mm.
questions in 12 13 minutes
Yeah,
if you do not have
yeah.
practice for that, right?
Actually, I took more than 12 minutes. I was a lot quicker in the other sections. So I spent 30 minutes on maths alone because I knew I'm very, very weak in maths. So I spent those 30 minutes meticulously going through each step, each calculation to make sure I didn't make a mistake. But of course, I was only able to do that because I was faster in the other sections. So yeah.
It is a very interesting perspective, because I don't think so any teacher recommends this, and I think so it's very wrong for them
Yeah.
to recommend a
Yeah, I mean,
certain
no, yeah, yeah.
every individual is
My
different, like
logic was
as
just,
you have shown us,
yeah,
but they try
exactly.
to push a simple
Yeah.
standard like 15 minutes for maths,
Mm, mm,
30 minutes for English, 30 minutes for legal.
mm,
Even if you
mm.
were finishing legal with 95 96% accuracy in
Yeah.
20 minutes, they want to spend 10 minutes more in that
Mm,
for the
mm,
purpose, who knows, right?
mm.
So one thing I think, so this
Exactly.
should be
Yeah.
one of the two things which I have covered from this meeting. Firstly, you should be accountable to yourself. Secondly,
Mm,
every
definitely.
individual is unique, right? What worked for
Mm,
you may
yes,
not work
yes.
for me, and what worked for the other guy may not
Mm.
work for me as well, right?
Yeah,
Before
definitely.
continuing with this
Yes.
video, this may sound sponsory, but the thing is, ClatQuest have tons of sectionals which you could use, right? Sure, I've also used.
Mm.
Sure, I think so. There are more than
Yeah.
300 sectionals, right?
Yeah. I, I just scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. And there is no end to how much I was scrolling. I was shocked by the sheer number of quests. I just kept. You can keep scrolling for like 10 minutes until you reach the end. It is insane.
Right. Let's take Clat for 1 minute to the side. Did you consider giving any other exam other than Clat in your journey?
I was about to, and I paid for SLAT as well as ALET as well. But to be fair, two things. First, I didn't really have them as a center of my preparation. My focus was still by and large only on CLAT. In fact, I didn't even bother doing ALET's, one-liner current affairs at all. Like, I literally did not even bother even once doing that, which, to be fair, was a very risky strategy, and I would not recommend that. It worked out for me, but I would highly discourage anybody to do those sorts of things. But my logic was that if I do well in flat, I will never have to attempt those exams, and that's what happened. But that was very, very risky. I would not recommend anybody else to do that. Um, so that was the preparation part. But even after the exam, even after the CLAD exam, um, the CLAT result was announced, I think, 11 p.m. the night before ALET. So naturally, after my result, I had zero desire to give any other exam. I was just completely, over the moon. Oh, I've gotten such a high rank. So I stayed up till 4 a.m. that night. Just, I don't know, I don't know what I was doing. I was just so happy. So naturally, because of that mood, I had no desire to give ALET the next day. So I didn't give ALET. And similarly, I didn't give SLAT either. So in a way, all that money I
No
spent
one
registering
said
for SLAT
anything
and
to
ALET
you when
was
you
just
did
wasted.
not give it eventually, right? No one complained, right? Why are you
Yeah,
giving?
no. Why would they? Why would they? I got AR 48. Why would they? I
No,
had a very
it
valid
was
reason,
quite opposite
honestly.
on our side, but let's move, because I think so you are from South as well, right?
No, no, I'm from Delhi, Ghaziabad.
So your parents wanted you far from home rather than in home in Delhi.
No, no, actually, no. My parents are very, very nice in that way. They, of course, wanted me to stay close to Delhi, but my dad is not originally from Delhi himself. He's from Bihar, so he has himself left his home to pursue education, to pursue employment. So he understood that I would eventually have to go outside of my home as well. And NALSA just seemed to me to be a better college than NLU Delhi. No offense, but I personally enjoyed. Yeah, I personally thought NALSAR is more
No,
desirable
everyone
than
have
NLU
their
Delhi.
own
So
preference, right? Everyone have to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And simply, I would
yeah.
like to say
So
this: don't take anyone too hard. But 500 equi is not something many people want to live in.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That was one of the reasons actually. One of the reasons was that Hyderabad as a city is, in my opinion, much better than Delhi. I've stayed in Delhi NCR for my entire life. The pollution is it, the pollution in Delhi compared to the lack of pollution here is staggering. So my point is just that I preferred Nalsar over NLD Delhi. So that was one of the reasons. And my parents did give me that autonomy to choose on my own. They were sad, of course, I didn't give the A-Lit, but they also understood that Nalsar is a very, very good college as well. And my own desire was for Nalsar rather than NLU Delhi. So they were
Coming
actually very
upon
fine with it,
that,
which I'm very
Shaurya,
grateful for.
there is also another very interesting
Hmm.
choice. As you get ARR 48, right? So you could have also chosen NLS, right? But you did not choose NLS. What was
Hmm.
the reasoning
Hmm.
behind that as well?
Honestly, NLS is a very, very good college as well. But my main idea was more so with Hyderabad as a city. I mean, I've heard very great things about Hyderabad. It's a very clean city, especially compared to Delhi. Hyderabad is a lot cleaner. There's a lot less pollution. The people are in general a lot nicer as well. So that was by far the biggest consideration that Hyderabad as a city is much better in my opinion than Delhi or Bangalore. So that's why I chose Hyderabad. But also Nalsar as a whole as well. I can't really pinpoint anything. I just like the vibe of the campus a lot more. It's like living here these past 6 or 7 months. It feels less like a college and more like a park. There's so much greenery just everywhere. Like you wake up and just outside the boys' hostel, like our hostel block's gate, you have a whole almost like a mini forest inside the boys' hostel complex. You have trees everywhere. You have just empty greenery everywhere across the campus. So it just feels so calming being here. And in fact, we have a lake just outside the college as well. You can see the lake from my hostel roof. So I go there in the mornings almost every day, just sit on the terrace and just look out at the lake. It's just a very calming atmosphere overall here at Nalsar. So those two are my primary reasons for choosing Nalsar.
Yeah, everyone have heard about the NALSAR morning and the tea along with that. But another thing I would
Mm,
like to come upon that, right? I don't think so it would have happened to you, but let's for a second assume that you would have failed CLAT, right? Thank God you did not, because then I
mm,
would not be able to take this
mm.
interview. But coming back to it,
Yeah.
let's say if you have failed CLAT, then what would have been your eventual
Mm,
decision making and your thinking and reasoning when shifting to any other exam, right? Will you have prepared for
mm.
8 and 7 8 days? Would you have ditched that and work for towards MSCT? And would you have directly started for next year's CLAT, right? So which of the three will be most appealing to you?
Okay. I was saying, um, I would have given ALET and SLAT as well, but I would not have given them very seriously because I would have known that you can't really do a whole lot if you start from scratch in just 7 or 8 days. I would have still given them just, you know, I spent money on registering, why not give it? But my main focus would probably be CUET actually, rather than MSCT or any other exam because I mean, I didn't prepare for ALET or SLAT seriously either. So naturally, I didn't prepare for MHCT a whole lot either. So I would not have high hopes from MHCT either. So my plan would probably be CUET. From there, if I can get into a 5 year law course, great. If I can't, I would have probably just pursued a normal BA degree and then a 3 year LLB degree. Uh, so that was my backup actually. If in case I didn't do CLAT, that was my plan. I'll give CUET. I'll get into a good college in Delhi University. I'll do some BA and then I'll do a 3 year LLB. That was my backup.
This is a very, I would say enlightened perspective because I don't think so. I've heard someone to be so clear about that, right? And I think so. It's a
Thank you.
good
Thank you.
opinion, right? If you have not prepared for something, it's very difficult to imagine you could compete for 4 years.
Mm,
Compete for it in 4 months. Of course, it is possible, but the chances are much more slim if you have prepared for it for
mm,
1.5
mm,
years, right? Well,
mm.
coming upon that, do you have in your college any JE student who shifted in the last 2 3 months and said like, hell it, I'll prepare for it, and
Okay. It is possible in 2 or 3 months, but very, very difficult. The the biggest difference that people would have if they had started earlier, start compared to starting right now, is that the people who are starting 2 or 3 months before the exam, they have a whole backlog of current affairs. And a backlog is very, very, very difficult to get out of because you have at least 100 or 200 pages of compendiums per month. So that multiplied by 12 months is a lot. Um, so just the sheer volume of current affairs that you would have to go through if you start late compared to starting early, that itself would probably be the biggest hurdle for me.
Let's discuss a bit about your life after reaching the university, right? Have you done
Okay,
any moot courts
okay.
or something, right? And any advice you would give to any
Uh,
fresher watching this video, like who is going to join a college in 1 year, right? Not necessarily NALSAR per se, but any NLU, any local college as well. What should you work upon, right? Because a thing is, lot of people ask like, Clat is done, right? I have 6 months. What am I supposed to do now, right?
okay. So yeah, we have had one. I've done one moot court, which is like we have a compulsory introduction to NALSAR every semester. So you have a class called the moot mentorship, which is taken by your seniors. The fourth semester in NALSAR, you have a class called the moot mentorship, which is taken by your seniors, the fourth year, fifth year, who has themselves been very, very, done very good, done very well in their own moot courts. So now it's like an institutional thing. They are teaching the first years how to do moot courts, and it has credits, it has grades. So the first semester you have one class, 1 hour per week for the entire semester, and then based on the learnings from that class, you have to compete in an actual moot court competition amongst your batchmates, which is held in the beginning of the second semester. So we just had ours around the starting of February, if I'm not wrong. So that was very fun, honestly. We learned a lot, and I was a quarter finalist, if I'm not wrong. So that was very, very fun. It taught me a lot of very good things, not just for mooting, but also for other things like how to write papers, how to cite properly, how to write your project properly, those sorts of things. So it was actually very good. And that helped me learn that I am actually very interested in mooting as a whole. So now I am looking forward definitely to participating in more moot court
Like so this
competitions.
should be given in
Coming
every NLU,
to,
I think, right? Or in any general college,
hmm,
because in
yeah, yeah.
RGNUL there is no such provisions for that, right? You are all on your own. This is good.
Oh,
I think so. It took me
uh,
months of preparation to learn how to even cite, right? And
hmm,
this is a good thing as well.
hmm,
I think
hmm,
it should be
hmm.
followed in every NLU and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
coming upon the next
yeah.
point,
It
like
should be.
back to the preparation part now, because the main audience which will be seeing, right, will try to take value out of them, because everyone know what are the value of these colleges, I hope. So coming upon the next part, this is going to be, I think so, a much tougher part for you as well as me, right? What advice would you have given to your younger self? Or would you have not given him any advice, right? You would have thought that I got a decent rank, and getting the new, knowing something new in this world will be even bad, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Tough question, honestly. Uh, I think I wouldn't have given advice on academics per se because I think I was doing everything correctly. But the advice I would have given would be that I should definitely have taken less stress. I was stressed not for the exam itself. I was stressed, as I said, I was stressed because I was not stressed. So I was worried, ki, why am I not stressed? And that completely did not allow me to relax or enjoy the time I had actually to myself. I was so worried constantly. Maybe I should be studying now. Why am I not studying? Those sorts of things. So by far, the biggest advice I would give my younger self is please don't stress so much. College is very, very hectic. You should make the most of all the spare time you have before college begins because you won't have that spare time after you come to college. This has been a very, very hectic first year. So overall, just of course, take your preparation seriously. I'm not saying completely slack off, but understand that your preparation is just one part of your life. It's not your entire life. And so the other part of your life necessarily has to involve some form of rest, some form of hobby, something like that. I had a lot of hobbies which I had put on pause while I was preparing for Clat. I play the guitar, I write poetry, I do a lot of things. But I did not have the time, or I had the time. I was just mentally unable to really get very deep into those hobbies because I was so worried about Clat as a whole. So that is
No,
my
this
biggest
is
advice
one
to my
thing I
younger
would
self.
also try to
Please
reiterate,
don't let the stress.
that
Yeah.
one should not solely base their whole life on this competitive exam. So India has a very toxic culture regarding it.
Hmm. Hmm.
I personally was very
Yeah,
stressed
definitely.
because of
Yes.
this, right?
Yes.
Even if I got a decent college, I tried to
Hmm.
do juggle both college CLG with partial drop, and it ended horribly as was expected. Like
Hmm.
one of my friend got into
Hmm.
NLS,
Hmm.
but I think so
Hmm.
he was much more chiller than me in this period. So ultimately,
Hmm.
what you do
Hmm.
with the exam is most important part. But if you are not, in the right headspace
Hmm.
during that period, like I think so you had given exam after a full night of
Yeah,
sleep and everything,
exactly.
right? I did not do that, right? Because of the stress.
Yeah.
So a really good advice from you. Coming upon
Yeah,
another
I
thing, how
spent
many
actually
mocks do you think you
the
have given in
wait,
this period?
mocks. Okay, that is. I am going to go completely against the grain, like completely against the common perception of how many mocks you should give because I gave only 27 mocks in my entire preparation, which includes 5 PYPs, 5 previous year CLAT exams. Now, why did I do that? Because at some point, the more you attempt, the number of mock tests you attempt, if you keep going higher and higher, beyond a certain point, you're not getting enough out of each individual mock. So rather than focusing on the number of mock tests itself, I focused more on analyzing the mistakes I made. So I would analyze every single mistake from every single mock test. And that's why I could only attempt 27 mock tests because I spent so much time figuring out what I did wrong, why I did that wrong. Because if you're not analyzing everything properly, at that point, it's almost like a waste of that mock test because you can attempt it, sure, but what's the benefit of attempting it if you're not getting any usefulness out of it? So I would recommend don't worry so much. Ki, okay, my friend has done this many mock tests. I won't done this many. That is entirely irrelevant. Just focus on as many mock tests as you can reasonably do while still analyzing everything properly and juggling the other aspects of your preparation and your life as well. Do not get anxious. Ki, my friend has done 70 mock tests, 100 mock tests. Why have I not done anything like that? I did 27 and I'm here in NALSAR. So if I can do it, I'm sure you can do it definitely as well.
Yeah, once again, every individual is unique. Someone may get success in 100, some may
Yeah,
get 27. It's totally upon the person himself. It coming upon this mock point. So,
yeah.
similarly, did you do low number of sections or high number of sections? Or were they inversely proportional or proportional?
I would say it was somewhere similar to the number of mock tests I gave. But to be fair, I sort of gave mocks itself as like a sectional test, just a really, really long sectional test, like a 2 hour sectional test for every section. I didn't have a lot of difference. I didn't distinguish between mock tests and sectional tests. I gave sectionals, yes, but I gave that more like when I didn't have the time or the mental energy for a proper mock test. Because at the end of the day, they're all just question banks. A mock test is also just a question bank, just like a sectional test is. The only difference is you need more endurance for a mock test. So I didn't distinguish a whole lot, but I would say overall it was around the same number as a mock test, yes.
So one thing, right? One thing Clat have been known recently is unpredictability, right? Like it have been supremely
Hmm. Hmm.
unpredictable. Sometimes the whole passages are wrong. Sometimes analytical becomes too logical or
Hmm.
logical becomes analytical, right? And
Hmm.
you had a
Hmm.
very smaller sample size of preparation. So how would you recommend someone like you who had a smaller sample size to be prepared for such various level of discrepancies or surprises, if you may say?
So I would say the way to prepare for that, it's less about the content itself, it's less about key, okay, we were expecting critical reasoning, analytical reasoning instead key. It's about being mentally prepared for those sorts of unexpected things to happen. You should expect the unexpected. It's very cliche, but it works. You should expect the unexpected. Um, and part of that act does, of course, involve that you have to do at least some form of preparation for everything that could possibly come. But given that Clat does not have a fixed definitive syllabus, you can't do everything. You just have to do the most likely things that could come. So at least for logical reasoning, I would definitely say you should do analytical and critical reasoning both at like, with equal weightage, because not just for Clat, but because that would help you in ALET as well. Because ALET and the other law entrance exams are more focused on analytical reasoning, while Clat is more focused on critical reasoning. So at least for logical reasoning, I would say you should put equal emphasis on both aspects of it. But the larger solution, I would say, is to change the way you think about it. It's to be mentally prepared for it. For example, during my clat, we had that one passage about analytical reasoning, which nobody expected, and it was also incorrect as well. So not only was it unexpected, it also made zero logical sense. So naturally, that confused a lot of people. It was like all the flow that you had suddenly just stopped because of that one passage. So I remember what I did was I just entirely skipped that passage. It's very simple. I just skipped it, and then after I'm done with everything else, including maths, then I came to it because I realized ki if I spend a lot of time trying to figure out this complex mess, I will just be wasting the time that I can actually spend on the questions I do know the answer to already. So if you have something unexpected like that, uh, try your level best to do whatever possible that you can, but also realize that there will definitely be other questions which are not that unexpected and which you can definitely attempt. So focus more on those questions, and then once you have the time left, probably you can devote your entire attention, your entire mental capability to that unexpected passage.
Well, a good advice. Like personally, for me, my clat it got ruined because of this only. Like that specific passage,
Mm.
along with my general health as well.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the two things I think you
Mm.
did very smartly at the end, right? Because if we look at the raw
Mm-hmm.
scores, right, without anything, without any shenanigans, maybe my raw score would not be so dissimilar with you. But the real game in clat is just that, to be at your best game and to cleverly solve the
Mm-hmm.
paper, because a large amount of paper is about that, right? Before moving on to the next part, one last question: what are your plans after law school, right? What do you aim, like it's civil services, is it law firm, corporate, or is it litigation and anything, right? Or your advice to, right,
Mm.
any other students what they should look for that? Because I think so you are not the best person for this advice, but because you are yourself very young at this point, but
Mm. Mm.
but
Mm.
there is also a thing like you will have much little generation gap between 2 to 3 years less older than people than
Mm.
you, compared to someone like 30 35, right? So
Mm. Yes, okay. Um, Before I had come to NALSAR, I was reasonably certain that I would do corporate law. The reason for that was that um, there are primarily the three primary pathways after law, after doing your college degree, are either litigation or corporate law or judiciary. The problem with litigation is that it is very, very unstable in the early years. You are barely earning 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees per month. But the benefit of litigation is that uh, there is basically no ceiling because it's like a business almost. You're selling your legal services. You're a businessman or a businesswoman. So there is literally no limit to how much you can earn in litigation. You can earn lakhs upon lakhs per day. But the other side of that is that when you're a junior working under a senior advocate, the salary you'll get is very, very, very low compared to even a decent corporate job. Secondly, litigation is very you need a lot of connections if you want to survive in litigation. Um, because it is so if you don't have a family name behind you, you'll struggle a lot in the early years. If you have a family name, your salary might actually be higher than that 5,000, 10,000. But if you don't have a family name or a family chamber, you will have to struggle to build your name to get a reputation for yourself. Because in India, say, yeah, advertising as a lawyer is illegal. So how do you get clients? The only way to get clients is through connections. How do you get connections? Through your family name. So if you don't have a family name, you'll have to build that connection network from the ground up, and that is a huge struggle. I was nowhere ready for that sort of struggle, so I even early on I decided I would not go into litigation. Then you have the judiciary. The judiciary, the problem, especially now after the recent judgment, is that you need 3 years of litigating experience to become a judicial officer. So that has some of the problems of litigation as well, that those starting 3 years will be absolutely terrible for you. So the only option remaining was corporate law. The problem with corporate law then is that the working life, the work life imbalance is very, very severe. It is, I mean, you work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. As far as I've heard from my seniors, from our alumni, you work long hours. But then the counter side to that is the pay is very, very good. It is at the starting a lot more than litigation. A fresher from NALSAR joining a tier one law firm will get a package, a median package of 20 lakhs per year, which is a lot more than what you would get if you a fresher in a litigation chamber. So, and the pay then progresses a lot as well. By the time you become a partner in a law firm, by the age of 30 or so, you will probably be earning upwards of 1 crore per year. And then that keeps going higher once you become more and more senior. So the salary is very lucrative in the corporate world, but then the work-life imbalance is very severe as well. But most people do still go for the corporate route exactly because of the salary and because litigation is so unstable. Talking about UPSC, that is a possible choice as well, but I would say it is even more unstable than litigation is because the sheer competitiveness of the UPSC environment means there is absolutely no certainty. So I personally am not aiming for the UPSC exam exactly because it is so uncertain. But I know some people from my batch in NASA who are definitely aiming for UPSC. So it is definitely something that people do go for. It's just not my thing. Coming after I've come to NASA, my initial idea that I should go to the corporate world has actually shifted a little bit because the subjects that I learn at NALSAR, they are so interesting and so completely disconnected from the corporate world, at least so far, that it feels almost like it'll be a waste of my education if I go into a boring corporate job. Um, so not all corporate jobs are boring. Some of them are actually fascinating as well. I am fascinated by intellectual property, for example. But by and large, intellect the education I've received so far in NALSAR has actually brought me closer to academia, pursuing academia as a career, because I'm completely fascinated by the amount of stuff I'm learning and the amount of stuff that I have left to know as well. So honestly, right now I'm not sure at all. I don't know what I'm going to do after my degree, but well, I have 4.5 years to figure that out. So hopefully I figure it out by the end of the fifth year.
It was enlightening for me as well, I guess. But this is what makes life good, the sheer uncertainty of it, right? This
Mm.
separates human from
Mm.
other species. So before now we are going to the last session of this, right? Because we shooting a video on ClatQuest, we must try it once. I'll take your opinions on the same, right? We go through some sectionals and some mocks, and you give your opinion on the same, right? Give an honest opinion. There is no need to be
Okay.
be
Yeah,
unpredictable,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So firstly, aesthetically, what is your opinion on this side?
Honestly, I like the aesthetics. It is simple enough to be understandable, and yet it has enough color, it has enough personality to still be interesting. I mean, it is easy to navigate, but then certain aspects which have to be colorful, like the leaderboard thing, all the symbols for the different ranks, that is very beautifully well done. So I like the design overall.
Any suggestions? We won't take any offense if you have any suggestions, right?
No, no, I don't have any suggestions actually.
No
I legit
suggestions at all, right? So let's do a mock and stuff, right? Let me
Hmm.
go to my profile, right? So one thing I would like to endlessly tell about is that this one, right? This is MSCT's second shift paper, right? Right. These
Hmm.
questions came in MHCT itself, right? And we are planning to
Hmm.
get all of the CLAT's previous year paper as well in this format. I think so. It's a
Hmm.
huge problem for students, right, to get CLAT paper, right? Because usually the PDFs on website are in this format, like question and then answer after that. And
Your voice cut off.
am I correct in that? So, what were your experience with finding PYQs?
My experience was um, you can find PDFs, but the problem with PDFs is that they are not interactive. I much prefer like an interactive mock test where you can actually choose the answer on the website itself, and then you can see the results on the website itself, which is very difficult to find, honestly. You can find PDFs, but then you have to attempt it yourself. You have to check against the answer sheet yourself. You'll have to mark yourself on your own, which is very, very tedious. I would much rather prefer something like this, where it is very interactive. It is in the form of an online test rather than just a PDF. So yeah, I like this.
Another new feature. Oh. right? Another new feature we have is the mentorship feature, right? So
mm,
So herein we have certain students, right? There is Anurag sir and Hardik sir. We are going to get a few other people like Vidisha from NLUT. She got rank 10 in the last year's this year's ALET itself, and maybe Shourya, if he is interested, could also have couple of classes there. These are primarily one-to-one sessions, right? So I think so. It will be really like in this conversation, I really learned a lot from Shaurya. When I was, but my intention was not to learn. So if someone was interested, if Shaurya himself is interested, we could hop on a call someday if you want and book a session with Shaurya whenever he is free. I think so. He will charge a bit more than you expect because his time is precious as well. But
Abhi
hopefully
to I
it
don't know
will
when
be
I'll
out
be
of this.
free,
Other
but
than
yeah.
that, this is our mock, right? We have decent amount of mocks, and as he said about the section itself, right? We have
Yeah, you
these many
just keep
sections, right?
scrolling. There is
You
never
could,
end. It's just
and
never ending.
the thing is, we are getting more sectionals day by day, right? Our target is to have
Mm.
1,000 sectionals by the end of the year, which is honestly insane. Like, I agree
Yeah,
with
I don't think
Shaurya that
anybody could
quantity
do
is
all
not
of them.
everything, but variety is
Yeah,
also important, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yes, yes.
I think so. In 27 mocks you have given, you would have given like the mocks from every aspect, like philosophy and everything, right? You would have
Hmm, hmm,
studied
hmm,
mock given mocks on abstract topics, concrete topics, futuristic, past, medieval
hmm,
history,
hmm,
everything, right?
hmm,
This I
hmm,
feel
hmm,
in
hmm,
most of the coaching you do not get. Now let's come to the pricing.
hmm, hmm, hmm,
This thing I think so it's the most best thing, right? We take 1,500 for 3 months and more or less you could say six
hmm.
thousand for the whole preparation. If you take mentorship as well for the year, right, like $100 for per month in mentorship, you get 1,200 or something, right? So it's 7,200 to 7,300 rupees for a whole year. This is basically 600 rupees a month. What did you spend in your coaching, right? I think so it was upwards of a lakh or 50K for a
Yeah,
year's, right?
that is the general price. Yeah, most people pay around that same frame as well. So it is actually very interesting that this is just 6,000, 5,000 or 6,000 rupees for a whole year. The 12-month plan, that is just 6,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees. That is here compared to the general price, just somewhere here. So I really like this. That is very impressive.
Right, and we are thinking of bringing scholarships test as well for this, right, for the underprivileged.
Hmm,
We are
hmm,
in
hmm,
contact with
hmm.
organized IDIA. I think you have heard about IDIA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We are in
yeah.
contact with them as well to give certain amount of these plans for the underprivileged as well. So be prepared for any scholarship test. I hope if it comes, sure I would be able to put that in his community as well, right? If anyone is
Yes,
interested,
yes,
right?
yeah. Hmm.
Lastly, coming upon it, sure, if you were able to use ClatQuest in your preparation, what was the area which you would found most helpful for you the same? And if you will give, like, if you think a person who is just starting his prep, what do you think ClatQuest will help him the most, and how should he use this website, right? Because sometimes we get lost in new things, right? The excitement of it, and it derails us from our original goal, which is to, at the end of the day,
Hmm.
clear the exam, which is Clat,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. So I think by far the biggest benefit CladQuest would have for me would be the sheer amount of sectional tests. Um, the It was very difficult to find sectional tests online, unless you purchase them, of course. There are very few free sectional tests or question banks for Clad online. So that was by far the biggest struggle for me, finding practice sets. So this website has so many sectionals. I'm absolutely blown away. I wished I knew this existed when I was preparing, because then it would be so much easier for me to just come to this website and immediately have so many sections right, at my fingertips. So by far that would be the biggest benefit CladQuest would have had for my preparation. And I think that will help most aspirants as well. That is a problem most aspirants face as well. That finding the resources is very, very difficult, especially if you are not in a coaching. So by far that is the biggest benefit. And I think the website is very easy to navigate. Just the sectional and mocks will probably be the places you would spend the most time. Um, and sectionals, as I said, just practicing again and again and again and again the sectionals. would help a lot in that. So in that way, I would actually, I wish ClatQuest, I knew about ClatQuest data method. That would have helped me a lot.
Another thing I would like to say, we have a very good analysis tab, right? For example, if I go in my profile, right, so there is this silver, and if you look at this weak sections GK,
Hmm.
right, there is
Hmm.
this very wonderful chart which will show you where you are losing your marks, where
Hmm.
you are doing poorly,
Hmm.
right, and there is also another chart which show you in GK what specific area are you messing up. Is it static or is it current affairs? So I think so it will really like, and there is this target, right, and I did not put that target. That target is put by the ClatQuest team. So you see the amount of effort they put in each
Hmm.
and every student, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Another thing I wanted
Hmm.
to highlight is the pricing, right? Pricing, I agree, is cheap, but the thing is, let's say you use ClatQuest, you don't like it. After 3 months, you would leave it. But if you join a coaching, you cannot leave it till you are finished with it, right? Because they take such hefty fees that you genuinely cry when you think about leaving. For example, I was enrolled in a 2 year batch, right? And my experience was, I would say, pleasant, but the amount of money they took me was 1.2 lakhs for 2 years. And it was taken from me in 3 months. Then after 3 months, I was stuck. Even if I wanted to change the coaching, I cannot even, say this to my parents because they have already paid so much money in that stuff, right? So Shaurya, really thankful for
Hmm.
this meet with you, right?
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we,
Thank
we,
you.
we get the ability to have other such events with you. But it was a really good
Hmm.
experience for
Hmm.
me, and I hope it was a really good experience
Yes,
for you as well. And
it
best
was.
of luck
It
for
was.
your
It was.
mid-semester exams. Hope you get rank
Thank
one in your
you.
college for the same. Right, right.
Yeah. Hopefully.